Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. This is our first show. It's called Maine Wedding Buzz, and this is our first guest, Laurie Andrews from Laurie Andrews Design, right here in Saco, Maine. So hi Laurie.
Well, good morning, Fausto.
Thank you for coming on and being my first guest. And tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
We are Laurie Andrews Design. We plan, design, and produce weddings and events in New England. Our approach is very simple. We work really hard at wanting to be the best at what we do. We plan events with our clients. We work in design. We do floral. That's really the core root of our business and how we get started in the floral design. And producing the events, it could be anywhere from doing a set design for a client right into doing all of the actual little small details for any event, any size.
How long have you been in the industry?
I've been doing this for 26 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
It's a long time. I added it up the other day. I opened up my first flower shop when I was 24 years old.
Wow.
And that came from after sitting at a 2-day conference at Unum, where I was employed at the time. They sent me to a 2-day career development seminar, and you had to learn, tell them what you learned and how you're going to implement it after the second day. It was really, the focus was on where do you fit within the company. And it was a great 2-day seminar. And at the end of the second day, I said I quit.
And went into business for yourself.
I did. I found there was a deep core of design properties that I had, and I felt like I had to explore that because I felt stifled being in an office.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to plan?
My favorite thing to plan, I love planning weddings, but I also love planning events, corporate events. We just got done working on Celador Winery. We did a great party for them.
I saw that on the rooftop of the Regency Hotel.
Wasn't
Beautiful.
that fabulous?
Beautiful.
We brought all of our lounge furniture. That seems to be a big part of the service of what we do now. We have a great line of rentals, and we're working on lighting and all the, everything that will help to bring together a cohesive event. So when we sit down with clients, we're not just talking about flowers and color swatches and fabrics. We believe that it's layer after layer after layer that helps to put together a cohesive event.
Wonderful. And I see that you've been in Real Maine Wedding Magazine this year and Maine Magazine's Wedding Edition.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually I was just looking at this one. This just came out this month, and this, we have a 4-page spread, which was fabulous.
Which is on the newsstands now.
It is on the newsstands. It's Real Maine Weddings. They do a fabulous job with all their photos. This was an inspiration shoot, and Fausto from Blue Elephant worked with us on this as well. It's a new venue, and it's a barn called Granite Ridge Estates in Norway. And we have some really, if you get a chance, you need to pick this up because it was really different. We don't do just a photo shoot, just to put photos in a magazine. This was a party. And
created an event. So instead of it just being a photo shoot with nothing, there were about 100 guests there, you would say?
There was 100 guests, and they were all vendors. So our thought process on this was to be able to bring in like-minded vendors that we all work really well with, our Wedding Buzz, and then other vendors as well. We wanted to be able to showcase this event, showcase what we can do in this space, and we had a great time. So it wasn't just for photos, it was a party, and it was a networking event, and it was a really great time. And Nadra did a photography. She did an amazing job on these images.
What design and how did you come up with that particular design for the table? Because it's a beautiful peacock. It's just really stunning. The whole table landscape, everything was really. So were you just up one night and just it came to you?
Oh, thank you. Actually, the inspiration for this was, it's very rustic. It's on 128 acres of this most amazing property, pretty much on a mountaintop. And it's all pine floors, wall ceilings. And I saw that the owner, Anthony, had some really amazing birds on the wall, which you wouldn't associate with a wedding. But I wanted to incorporate that because that's the place where you are, and I think you should, try to be able to take your natural surroundings. And I tried to soften it, and I decided to make a bird out of orchids. And yes, it did come to me at night. I have to say, I'm the one that's up with the iPad in the middle of the night, working on new designs and.
And like I said, I think you really need to go out and get this magazine because her designs are in there. And it's not just one photo. She's, I think, several pages of different photos.
Yeah, we're featured in several different stories in here. I think there's 4 different weddings that we're featured in this magazine.
And that's Real Maine Weddings.
And then there's another one that we just were publishing again, and I love this one. This is Maine magazine.
And it's the wedding issue, and this is on newsstands from January to January.
And this happens to be another event that we did together.
Yep.
Yes. This was Jessica and Tom, and this was in Wells.
And when you came up with the flowers, sort of like your arrangement here, do you just pick flowers for the client? Does the client already know what they want to come in with?
It's a story. We sit down and we get to know the client. In this particular case for this event, Tom proposed to her in Africa.
Oh, wow.
On a protea farm, so naturally we had to use proteas, and we did import the proteas for these flowers from Africa.
How exciting. Wow,
And
incredible.
yeah, so people may look at this and say, wow, those flowers are really unusual and they're big, but everything that we do, there's a purpose behind it.
And a story.
There's a story, and that's our job, to try to tell that story and to evoke an emotion from the client as well as their guest.
Oh, excellent. And this is on newsstands too, so if
This
you're
is
looking
as
for
well,
that, more of
yes.
Laurie's work is in that as well. Which actually brings me to another question. How has the economy impacted your business, or has it? I mean, it's one of those things that you have to ask,
Right,
since the...
Sure. The economy has not affected our business. I think we're fortunate I think every bride has a different vision, and they budget or allocate their budget to certain things that are most important to them. It could be their food, it could be, making sure they have the best champagne. If it's the decor, which 9 times out of 10 it is, the decor is a huge part of their budget. And some brides, don't care as much about it. They're doing a little bit of DIY. We haven't been affected. We have not been affected by the budget. I think the average medium is up to $30,000 this year, with 28% spending $40,000 or more, and there's 14% of the brides that don't have a budget.
And do you see a lot of out-of-towners coming into Maine and using this as a destination?
Yes, actually more so this year than ever. I would say probably 55–60% of all of our clients are destination brides. They're not from Maine, and they're coming from all around.
Wow.
The Westin Hotel has brought in quite a few new destination brides.
Right.
We had 3 this summer where I never even met the bride. We FaceTime, we talk on the phone, and we email back and forth, and we come up with a plan for them. And one client from Ohio had never even been to Maine.
Wow.
She just took it on us as her vendors,
To put it together.
relying on us to do a really beautiful, intimate party for 75 people.
Wow, that's incredible. And that's a good feeling, because they
sure is.
they become a friend at that
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
So with leading into the next thing of what's your best venue that you like to work at, or that you feel is easy to work at?
Boy, that's a tough one. There's so many wonderful venues in the state of Maine. We travel from Boothbay Harbor to, let's see, next week we're at Pemaquid Point.
Oh, wow.
And then we're at the Newag, and then the following week we're going to be down in York at a beautiful venue. So we're all over the place. My favorite has to be the Inn on Peaks. I love Peaks Island. I find doing island events very rewarding, because I hear so often that's such a challenge.
Do you feel, and that's a good thing, do you feel that the challenge of the boat ferries over is difficult or easy?
No, I think we have it such down to a science. We've been doing it for so many years. We have it down to a science.
Oh, that's great.
And I find it relaxing, quite honestly, because the people are so enjoyable to work with. And again, maybe it's just because we do it so often, but we do have it down to a science, and we have a great team that we work with.
So Laurie's your go-to person for Peaks Island.
Yes, yeah, we love it.
Which is great. Well, she's your go-to person for everything. We love her. What do you think of the new colors for Pantone for this coming year, for 2015, or do you have an idea, or do you feel that those are important to know, or do you want to think out of the box?
I think it's important to know for a couple different reasons, because when we're doing our buy-in for the following year, which we do a lot of, we need to know what some of the color trends are, but not maybe so much the color trends, whether it's going to be metallics, what's going to be big. Is it mercury glass this year? Is it going to be gold? I don't think that Patoyne has the authority on color trends. I think that the bride should write her own story, and we love breaking all the rules. So if they come up with something that's different and unusual, I'm in 100%.
Now, you brought this beautiful arrangement, and did you just pull this together and say, I see a lot of beautiful things. Can you tell them a little bit about what you put in here, and from the feathers and to just the beautiful roses? I mean,
yeah, so one of the big trends this year are garden roses. They're big and flat and full and fluffy. I tend to go with more textural flowers. I love seeing the different berries, hypericum berries. There's some wonderful cabbage
I saw that right
in
here.
here. There's lady's mantle and stock and some different grasses. I think this just has a lot of texture, and that's what I tend to go with, is more texture.
It looks full. It looks beautiful. It's alive.
Yeah, and lush. And our clients are looking for a lot of visual interest, and that's our job, to make sure that, you know, we are telling a story with the flowers, just like they're trying to tell a story with their event.
And what do you see for trends for 2015?
Traditional weddings are coming back, believe it or not. Rustic, vintage, that whole anthropology look is starting to fade away. And brides are starting to use more, not just for flowers, I would say orchids are definitely making a big comeback, more traditional flowers. I've even seen cascade bouquets come back.
Oh, wow.
It's been since 1980 since
Yeah.
I've put together one of those.
Real long flowers.
Yeah, so that will be one of my challenges. But it's, you know, full and lush and just really kind of over the top. And I don't think you have to spend a lot of money on your budget to make an event over the top. If you have one or two beautiful pieces that you can help to do different visually, high interest and low, and do some low and lush, you can mix and combine the two together to stay within your budget.
And it's funny, we were talking about centerpieces. Do you feel at a round table, like a 60-inch round, and you're sitting there, do you prefer tall, small, medium, several? How do you fill up the middle of that table? 'Cause
So when I look back at some of the images, the work that we've done, the first thing I think of, there wasn't enough layers. I don't think it really matters if it's tall or if it's low and lush. There's not enough layers on the table. I think those details kind of get lost. And when I mean layers, I mean a really fabulous linen that might be textured, and, you know, drop in a beautiful charger. That's another layer. And, you know, your napkin fold, your menu card.
so creating your eye to eat as well as your palate.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a great way to phrase that. So lots of layers, very important.
Cool. When someone calls you, do you do a consultation, set up a walkthrough to see your designs? How do you go about that initial first phone call?
The initial phone call, we talk, and we actually, I think the bride's interviewing us, and in the same sense we're interviewing them. We want to see if we're going to be a good fit. We're going to spend a lot of time together. Some of our events,
Sometimes a year, sometimes a year and a half.
sometimes a year, yeah. We have a couple events this year that we've been working well over a year with our clients. So we want to make sure that we're a good fit, because we're going to form a relationship over the next, you know, year to 6 months. As soon as that's been established, then we establish what service they're looking for. Are they looking for just event design? Are they looking for plan-in? Are they looking just for floral? And so that's determined. Once that's determined, we sit down, we do a proposal for them. They come to our studio, and we just start with a blank piece of paper. We don't
Wow.
have a form. It's a blank piece of paper, because that's where we want to start telling your story. And yeah, we put it together, and then we start from there.
Wow, wonderful. That's a great way to do it. Which then leads me into my next question. Do you still get butterflies?
I do get butterflies. I think that what we do is a production. It's no different, I think, than a movie. It's no different than a play. We have a cast, we have a crew, we have a stage, we have a set designer, we have a director. And as soon as the story is being told and she walks down the aisle for that first time with her father, I get a little nervous. I still tear up a little bit when that happens. The story starts to unfold throughout the evening, and it goes quick, just like a movie or a play. It goes very fast, and timing is very important, I think. And then at that point, it's strike, and the event ends.
That's one of the things I tell my clients too. I say savor the moment, because it goes by so quickly. A year of planning turns into 5 hours.
It sure does.
And it goes by very quickly.
And I think we have something coming up really interesting in August, where we both worked on an event together for well over a year.
Yeah.
It was a very large event, and we worked really hard on this one. And it went by so fast, and she had over 200 guests, and she's going to be having an anniversary party that she's not aware of. And you have the opportunity to recreate the menu.
And the look and the
I
florals.
have the opportunity to recreate the floral, and, you know, in a smaller, intimate way, and it's going to be a total surprise for her. And I think I'm so looking forward to that because we're
And to seeing them again.
right, because we're reconnecting with that couple again.
Exactly, which brings me to the next question that I had, which is, do you fall in love with your clients? Because you temporarily become their friend and their confidant. So at the end of this year-long journey, 5 hours ends, and then they go off on their honeymoon, and that's it. You don't have that person to talk to anymore. So do you feel a connection after the event, and they sort of kind of disappear into the light and just go?
There is definitely a connection, and again, I think you have to have that connection, right? So right from the very beginning, to see if you're a good fit with your client, you have to have that connection with them because we work so closely together for so long. And I do. I think you said this not too long ago, that you feel like you're breaking up with them after because you do miss them, right?
Yeah, I do.
And then we're on to the next client, and you start forming those relationships again. I'm very, very fortunate to have been working with so many, about 1,400 brides.
1,400. That's
1,400
incredible.
brides over the past 25 years. That's a lot of people.
You should do a Where Are They Now story.
Well, when I was coming out of the Westin a couple of weeks ago, there was a gentleman that we were just getting done setting up an event, and he said, "Hey, Laurie, how you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, hi, good. How you doing?"
You have to remember everybody, and it's hard. It
He said,
really
"You
is.
don't remember me, do you?" I said, "Sorry, I don't." He said, "You did our wedding 22 years ago."
Wow, that's a great story.
Yeah, and I said, "I did."
And to remember you 22
And
years
that's what
later
I
speaks
said. I said, "How
volumes
did you
for you.
remember me 22 years ago?" He said, "I will never forget the look on my wife's face when she walked into that room for the first time." He said that has stayed with me.
And that's true, because it's that moment when the bride comes in and those tears come rolling down, and it's tears of joy because her vision was carried out.
Absolutely.
And you understood it.
Right.
And that's an incredible
So 22
feeling.
years later, there was a lot of satisfaction in that.
So then I'm going to take it that you like the whole event planning part of it. But do you like the event planning part with having one point person, sort of like a director per se?
I do. I think there should be a director for every production. There should be one point person and not several. And I think if you form a really good team, then you're able to pull that off effortlessly. And I think that we know some great people in the industry. I think that's what makes our events work so well, that I have a team of vendors that I've been working with for so many years, well-trusted, hard-working vendors, and they help to pull all these events off.
Excellent, excellent. And what's your biggest challenge for this year? Like what do you have in mind and for going into the new year, the 2015 season? And when we talk seasons, we usually talk seasons 2015, 2016. That's how most of us.
Right, because we're already booking for 2015.
Exactly.
We have some dates that are already sold out. I think our focus is not, we don't do volume. We do 1 or 2 events on a weekend because we'd rather do 1 or 2 and do them really well. We don't take on any more clients than that. So our focus is not on trying to bring in more clients. We want to focus on doing a better job by offering maybe different services.
Sort of boutique, sort of?
More boutique to clients that we already have established. Our clients come to us from referrals. We're not out there advertising, marketing, and trying to get every bride there is. That's not what we do. Our clients are sent to us from strictly referrals.
That's excellent
from
to have
our
a
vendors.
referral-based business. That's wonderful.
So we know in order to be able to work at these venues again, we have to really take care of our clients, but also our vendors and the people who are referring them. So is that a service that we can provide to the client and to the venue? I think it might be. So that's kind of, we're focusing on some different things there.
Do you feel that in those challenges that brides are coming more savvy with information that they want, with Pinterest being out there, and both you and I can attest to this, that when we first started out, Pinterest was a handbook with photos inside of it. Now everything's on the internet, and so you can see everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But do you feel that the challenge is to sort of redirect them and say, well, if you have this budget, let's do this, where you can get more bang for your buck, or let's work with the budget you have instead of moving it all over the place? Are those challenges sometimes hard?
Yeah, I think Pinterest is definitely a challenge. When I started back in 1989, there were only Teleflora and FTD books, and
Pick 1, 2, or 3.
right, TF 2113, and you only had that to choose from
Yeah.
because we didn't have all the information. Now you don't need those books, and you shouldn't be looking at those books, quite honestly. You know, you should be trying to create something that's personal because there's so much information out there. You can spend so much time researching, and I find that brides maybe over-research. I do love looking at their Pinterest board because that helps to tell me
A little bit about
a
themselves.
little about themselves. I want to know where you shop and, you know, what your style is, how do you decorate your home, that type of thing. That's important to me. And then I think that with the Pinterest pages, they can tone it down a little bit. I don't feel that brides should take images from Pinterest and try to recreate that. I think the best compliment that they can get is for another bride to see an image of something that they've done and have that put on Pinterest. So if you want to do a photo booth, heck with a photo booth, do a, you know, maybe a video booth or a
Oh, nice.
confession booth. You know, take what the norm
Or an
is.
Instagram booth now that's becoming
Instagram,
very trendy.
It's very trendy. So take something that you have seen and turn it upside down, shake it up a little bit, and do something completely different. Step out of your comfort level.
Nice, nice. I like that. And so one of my last questions for you is, where do you see yourself in 2015 and the 2016 event season, and saying that 2015 already booking and really working on 2016, because most of us in January, February, and March work on 2016. So where do you see yourself in those years?
We are busy. We're real busy, and I think that I feel very fortunate for the brides that we are working with. We have great clients. I don't think all vendors can say that, but we really have some great clients that we work with. I see ourselves just, again, concentrating on the design aspect and trying to maybe update some of our services and provide. Our lounge furniture is big for us. We are definitely adding on different and new pieces to all of this, to our lounge, and coming up with a couple different looks, which has been pretty exciting for us.
And can we see those on your website?
You can see those on our website, yes.
And so if we're looking for lounge furniture, sort of to give it that whole new vibe, sort of South Beachy sort of kind of feel, you can recreate that kind of look too?
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. And I've seen her furniture. It's phenomenal. I love it. So you can look for that on Laurie's website. And again, I want to thank Laurie for coming in today and being our first guest on Maine Wedding Buzz. I hope to be here every Monday with a new guest, and Laurie has graciously said that she would co-host when I can't make it. She would be here. And again, at the end of this segment, you're going to see a lot of photos from Laurie's designs. So keep in mind that those are going to be popping up for you. I am so grateful to have her here today, and it's wonderful to have the Maine Wedding Buzz. Thank you.